iCommunity shines a light on the wide array of community news, arts and culture and prolific charity efforts within the Asian Diaspora networks. It's where the global Indian impact on the ground is celebrated. Log on at iglobalnews.com.
Hello and a very warm welcome to today's session of the Living Bridge Conversations, the live series brought to you by iGlobal, your multimedia hub for and about global Indians. I'm Reena Ranger and I'm your host for today, and I am delighted to be joined by the wonderful Asma Khan. Asma is a celebrated Indian-born British chef and restaurateur, the driving force behind the hugely popular Darjeeling Express in London. She has the distinction of being the first British Indian chef to feature on Netflix series The Chef's Table, and she has many other firsts to her name. Hello, Asma, and welcome to our show.
Well, thank you very much.
To have you here.
And it's lovely to see you again.
It's always lovely to see you. Before we begin, just a quick word for our viewers. This show is yours too, so please drop your comments and your questions, and we're going to pick them up during the course of our conversation. Asma, you didn't start out as a chef restaurateur. Please tell us, how does an ardent academic find her way to food?
Well, I realized very quickly on that I didn't get that much pleasure from being in court. I always felt that, as a lawyer, I noticed that there were no winners, because in every case there was someone who lost. And, and it didn't give me any joy. Whereas when you cook, everyone wins. And I loved feeding people. And I decided that, I wasn't going to do what is expected. Coming from a South Asian background, you can understand that. There's the expectation that, you study law, you do a PhD, then, you practice law because that's what you do, or you teach law, which is what my husband was, as an academic. But I didn't want to do any of that. And I figured that, let me for once, do something that will give me joy, instead of living my life for others. And this is why the academic, the lawyer, the doctor Asma Khan stopped, and I became a cook.
You thought your way to a happier place for yourself. And you've achieved so many amazing things. You spoke about the first, but you recently went viral along with Darjeeling when Paul Rudd, who has just been named the sexiest man alive,
Yes.
and Levy came to have dinner at Darjeeling Express. What do moments like that mean to you? Are you still awestruck by them? How do you feel when Hollywood A-listers come to eat?
Well, I was extremely, excited, very awestruck. And I walked up to him and said, I know who you are. And he was like, oh my God, I've got to take a picture with you. I've been waiting for 2 years, and this is my dream to meet you. And please, can I take a picture with you? So everything kind of stopped then. And I realized that, he's just a nice guy who loved the Chef's Table episode and came and wanted to see it. And he was so excited. He took pictures and, was very emotional meeting me. And so, yeah, it wasn't what I had expected. I thought I was just going to die and faint when I saw him. But instead, he was so warm and so emotional. And he told me that, you and I are the same age. He knew which year I was born, of course, and said that, I feel this connection. And he was just so cute. I could have died, absolutely, of course.
Well, he is the sexiest man alive, as of today.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you've had amazing people come through your doors. Who has stuck with you? Who has been some of the people that you have just been floored by? I mean, Paul Rudd, obviously.
Yes, Paul Rudd, Dan Levy, who was very humble and very sweet. And, in the past, I had Keira Knightley, who was fabulous, and she would come a lot. But I have to say, probably the most dramatic, dynamic, and considering his size, extremely loud guest, who is still a very treasured guest, is Danny DeVito. He was just, and I took no pictures because somehow that seemed too important to just for it to be in memories. And he was eating each puchka, which is like a pani puri, and clapping his hands and closing his eyes. And it is something that, it was Danny DeVito. I was
Danny
like,
DeVito.
Oh my God. He was just incredible, and he was so sweet. And he loved everything and all the food and was so warm. And yeah, so I think probably him the most. And then very close to him, I think Nigella Lawson, because she was so warm and loving and kept going to the kitchen and saying, what is it that I haven't eaten in here? What is there not on the menu? What's the staff food? She was just so genuinely kind to my team, to the people who served her, and and to me as well. And that, so I think Danny DeVito, Nigella Lawson, very special guests, of whom there's no photograph that went viral.
I don't know what is more scary maybe for you, a Hollywood A-list or a fellow chef.
Actually, what worries me most are people who come with attitude of superiority.
Yeah.
People who are A-listers, who are superstars, are extremely humble. I still get in my restaurant people sending back the dal saying, it doesn't taste like the dal my mother makes, that's black. And I'm like, hello, if you are South Asian, you must understand that 3 villages apart, people, temper, they do baghar of the dal differently. How can you send back the dal that is yellow saying, why isn't it not black? In one region of India, people eat black dal, very small region of India. It is just shocking. So I don't worry for people who are famous or who are, well known or who are chefs, because they understand that this is my food, my family food. I have a lot of trouble from people who come in with a huge attitude of superiority, which, is fine. You can feel that. But I don't think anyone should come into a place and throw their weight around. Sadly, a lot of people from our community too.
Feel sad about that, but your chefs are extraordinary. You are Darjeeling Express is known for its very special chefs. Can you tell us more about who they are and where they've trained?
Well, they are basically trained by life experience. They've never been to culinary school. Some have not been to school, and they are women who moved to this country as cleaners, as nannies, and basically left home 20 years ago. Migrants who moved from one country to another. Many of them went to the Middle East and then came to England after that with families, and they never ate a lot of the food that they're cooking right now. But I made friends with them because a lot of them were actually looking after children in my kids' school. And I made friends I could see, they're Indians, and I just thought, come to my house. I live opposite the school. And these are now the women who are cooking in my kitchen. And when I started in 2012 in my house, they were the ones who cooked. So this is the Darjeeling Express, not me. They are the women who came in and stood by me, learned to cook all my family dishes. I taught them, Ammu taught them. My mother, was visiting quite a lot at that time. And they're amazing. See, the thing is that, we learn intuitively. That generation of women learned not from looking at MasterChef Australia or YouTube channels and cookbooks. They learned by watching. And so their ability to pick up new dishes was fantastic. They never even tasted it, but they learned how to cook it.
Do you ever find it difficult to square that circle that you have these amazing chefs who have learned from the life of the kitchens of life to cook these exquisite meals, and they get paid and adulated and they get reviewed and 5-star reviews, and Hollywood A-listers and politicians and all sorts of people, academics come to eat their food, but at home that is replicated 100 times over, and there is no same recognition. The recognition is very different, if at all.
See, we have a saying, and I'll say it in Hindi because that's how I know it. We have a saying which is "Ghar ki murgi dal barabar." So the chicken that is cooked at home is on the same level as lentils. This is a very common saying in my part of the subcontinent. They're not talking about the chicken. They're talking about the women who are cooking. So the status of women in every home you go to in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, you will find women cooking invariably. In every kitchen you go to, which is middle range or high end, in those parts of the world and in the West, it is only men cooking. So the fact that not only was our status taken away of the people who are actually cooking these kinds of family dishes, authentic dishes, we are nowhere on the stage. And this is why it's so important that, uh, our story, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to speak to all of you, and through you, your audience. And I know you all have a big reach, because I want, women to know that just because there is no chair on the table for you, pull a chair up and sit down. Nowhere are you excluded. And the fact that these women are adulated and given the recognition, they just needed someone to give them an opportunity. So even if you feel that, uh, this is quite normal, and this is ghar ki dal, and normal food, it is not normal. It is sacred. It is the food of our ancestors. It is the food of our grandmother and mother. There's a sacredness in our food. And this is what I was unafraid to do. I've just come back from Maldives. I'll just be very brief about this, where every dinner was $500. And my menu was roti, zira aloo, dal, one sabzi, one chicken. And one guy walked up to me and said, I am a banya. I've flown in from Bombay to eat your food. When I told my mother I was going to pay $500 to eat this menu, she told me, Beta, just tear up the note and eat the $500 note. You're going to pay that kind of money for, ghar food, normal home food. This is our problem. That he was telling me, I ate the food, I told my mother, I wept, it was so good. I want her, she herself didn't understand how valuable her food was. That she was questioning a $500 meal. That, of course, I was in a very posh resort and all of that. But because no one is there to adulate and applaud us, women think this is nothing. Not knowing how gifted and beautiful and healing their food is. That the food that our nani and dadi gave us, unblinkingly, irrespective of what time you turned up, you were fed. Not just you came with an army, they would feed your army. With pride, with dignity, with so much affection. This is what is so beautiful about our culture.
I think I don't know why we're echoing, but I think you're absolutely right. There is so much in that meal, including love, healing, the wisdom, the words, the memories, and everything else as well. On that very empowering and emotional note, it's just time for us to take a quick break, and we're going to be back right after this.
iEntertainment is brought to you by iGlobal for all the latest film and series reviews, starry interviews and cinema listings covering Bollywood and beyond to reflect a truly pan-Indian entertainment spectrum. Check out the latest at iGlobalnews.com. iGlobal Radio is the brand new hub of podcasts for and about global Indians. News, views, interviews, wellness, money matters, and much, much more. Tune in to iGlobal Radio at iGlobalnews.com.
So we're back. And I'm so sorry about the echo, but these Living Bridge conversations are live, and they have been curated by iGlobal to bring you as much discussion and deliberation, and they'll include many food recipes, musical journeys, and heartwarming anecdotes with energetic fitness routines and festive fashions and much, much more. So please stay tuned for all the things that are yet to come. We're going to try and get rid of the echo at some point. So we have a whole bunch of streams of guests that embody the British Indian diaspora living the Living Bridge, and of course you, our viewers, are at the heart of these conversations. So please don't forget to put your comments and questions in the box. So coming back to our lovely guest Asma today, what is the wisdom that you live your life by?
Well, I think that what drives me is that I'm very conscious of my privilege, of never having slept hungry, having a roof over my head, being educated, having health, and my family's surrounded by loved ones. So I think that I think everyone should do this. I think it's important to lift others that are around you, and through this you rise yourself. And it's this feeling that I want to spend as much of my time as possible to help others achieve their dreams, to make them understand that they also have the right to be on the table. They have the right to be on the spotlight. And I'm very conscious of the fact that, when you reach this kind of position, like, being the first or whatever, people invite you to events or invite you to the panel, and they tick a box and that's it, it's done. They've got a black, Asian, mother, whatever. And I say, who else are you inviting? I also don't want to block the stage. I don't want to block the way for the others to come forward. I want to watch women surpass my achievement in my lifetime. And this is, I think it's very important when you reach that point of privilege, of being recognized, and, or use the word famous, or people think that you've achieved a lot. This is the time when I want to step to the side and clear the pathways for others, because I think that's very, very important. So this is what is my, driving force behind me. And I think, I would like others also to do this in whatever profession they have.
And let me ask you a question. You've just spoken about what you want to do. We always say to people, what's next? But sometimes I don't even understand that as a question, because you are shining now. Does there have to be a next? So let me ask you, what does fulfillment mean to you? Do you want more restaurants? Do you want more cookbooks, TV shows, more women at the fore? Are you fulfilled today and you're happy and you say, this is it?
I think I am fulfilled today. I think I've reached that point where I feel I would not want to have another restaurant. I would not want to expand. But I would definitely want to now focus on amplifying the voices of other women of my background and my age. I'm 52. I think that we do not hear the stories of women who are older. A lot of technology is used. I mean, you and I struggled setting this up before the show started. And, but I think that, there's a fear that technology will also zoom ahead and leave behind a generation of women who, and this is my thing, that I want to now spend the rest of my life bringing onto the stage those voices and those stories, those that, have been left behind, the marginalized, the sidelined, the silenced women. This is, and if it has to be done through food, through books, through television, through anything, through storytelling. But this is what I want to do next.
I think, I'm sorry, I'm trying to unmute myself and mute myself to see why we have this echo, but that is a fantastic and noble ambition. And I think, you as a role model do so much for so many people without even knowing it every day. Let's just talk about food quickly. If you had one dish, or what is that one dish that resonates with you? Why? And what do you feel? Maybe what is home to you, or what is that one dish that if you were to be stuck on an island you would pick?
I think I would pick pulao, peas pulao. There's something very comforting about that, and I just love rice. I'm half Bengali, and I think that I mean, when you were asking me a question, I couldn't decide between paratha and rice, and I thought this is a classic division between my father and my mother. My father is from a wheat growing area, my mother's from a rice growing area. Then I picked the rice. So this is for me, I think that beautifully made rice, and we have so many different varieties. That is for me, comfort. It is also a chance to kind of, take a pause. I mean, I still eat rice with my hands.
I think there is something, it's not rice. There's so much behind the rice. There's a story, the comfort, the history behind the rice that you are wanting to take on that island with you.
Yes, absolutely.
And that goes back to the first question we talked about. Just finally, before we say goodbye to you, I just wanted to ask you a question. There are so many women and maybe men watching this who are the chefs in their house, who are the cooks in their family, who look at this now as a gift, as a talent, because of what Darjeeling Express has done for Indian home cooking. What do you say to them? What do you want them to know?
I think that, you don't need to start very big. I started from my house. You definitely should move it forward. Now, over the pandemic especially, so many people started selling food online. You can now, chill pack, post stuff, even send recipe cards with all the ingredients set there. You just need to go online and look at all the different facilities and options that you have. Get your food out. Start small, start from home, but take this as your mission that you are spreading the light in your skill to so many people. There's no shame in making money and becoming a business. Sometimes business is seen as a bad word and is seen as something not so good in our community, especially for women. Daughter-in-laws, daughters, oh no, you can't go into business. It's as if it's a dirty word. It is not a dirty word. That is your way of independence. Use food.
We are going to take a quick break. I think Asma is just going to come back as well, I hope. So when we return, we're just going to have a look at some of the questions and comments. So keep dropping them in and hopefully we'll be back shortly.
iCommunity shines a light on the wide array of community news, arts and culture and prolific charity efforts within the Asian diaspora networks. It's where the global Indian impact on the ground is celebrated. Log on at iglobalnews.com.
Asma, you back? I think we're having a bit of trouble with technology today, but I've stopped echoing. We've had a delightful show with Asma today. There were some more comments, but I think we have lost her. So I'm going to thank Asma so much for taking the time to out of her busy schedule and join us for this iGlobal Living Bridge conversation. That is the end of today's show. Please remember you can play back any of the past sessions under the video section on iGlobal News or on Facebook or the YouTube channel. And for more Living Bridge conversations, please stay tuned to iglobalnews.com. Thank you.